Hello, welcome to a layout update, and I'm going to be doing some work on the fiddle yard and getting the buildings on the main layout and getting some of the lighting on this episode. So I've started to have a change of plan because originally the fiddle yard was just going to be fully covered here, and then obviously it was fully hidden from the front. But if you're operating this from the back, you can't really do any work or change anything. So I've decided on how I'm going to do it. I've sort of started to make some pieces. So I made this yesterday. The glue's all nicely dried on it. And what this is supposed to do is then I've got a piece that just goes on the back there. Let me there's a specific hole that it needs, and then that will go there. And then I've decided that the road will be coming on. Maybe I should all screw this all together. And the road will come along around the front, so it'll be sort of around there, and then I can put either some low relief or just sort of leave it empty, so you can just see the backdrop. So it's just going to be more like that. It's going to come out to about there on the harbour wall, so I'm going to build a retaining wall along there. So I'm going to get that built and fitted. Just waiting for some more card to come. I've actually run out of all the card at the moment, so just waiting for a delivery on that. So once I've got that, I'm going to get the retaining wall fitted. Start to put the backdrops on as well, because I don't think I'm going to need any more sort of work on this. I'm going to sand this a little bit down because it's a little bit rough after the glue's been on there. So that's the only thing I've got to do. Right, I've got all the road made. Now that's all. So then I'm going to be putting a retaining wall all the way around. I've just put these supports in there. I've got these 3D printed sort of bridge, girder bridge. So this will sort of sit around here and give the impression. So I've got some more retaining wall to do. Then I've got all the supporting pillars for the retaining wall, and obviously I can't remember what you call that wall on the top, but yeah, the parapet wall on top. So I'm going to start working on that. I'm also going to get the backdrops fitted. That's just arrived this morning from Amazon, so I'm going to have a look, see what these backdrops look like and get those on. Right, and just covered this with some textured papers to look like a tarmac road surface. I've done the edging, so when that will then just sit just underneath, and then it will look like the ledge, and then when the parapet sits on top, it will look quite good, I think. I've just done the cutout as well, so the bridge supports will go in there like that. So that should so that all does fit just so. And I've also given this a good spray with a lacquer just to protect all the card surface against anything. I'm going to do a little bit of extra weathering on this to hide some of the joints, because I wasn't that keen on that joint there, and there's one near the end here that's not very good. So I'm going to now get all the walls sort of in place. As you can see, the road bridge is coming on. I've just got bits of card and paper everywhere, so just got like some textures printed off, made in Photoshop. We're using Pristic, so pavements are just 1mm piece of card, and then I've just created some wraps to go over them, and it's starting to come out okay. So I think a little bit more work and get that tidied up. I want to put some street lighting on there, so I'm actually waiting for some lights to turn up at the moment, and the plan is to put sort of a street light around about here and one here. So I've left this open at the front so I can get the wires down, and I can take this backboard off and then get the wires through there, and I think that should look quite good. Obviously I'm going to need to make sure there's a connection to the main board now for the lighting. So, but it's starting to come together. So I'm hoping to get all the rest of the walls on. So I've got obviously some more there, and I've got the stone capping to put on top. But I want to get the lights in really before I get all this wall in place, and then I'll need to just disguise the corners. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that just yet, because normally I'd create one of these wraps, and then I would have left a piece overhanging so I could have just wrapped it round. So I've not done that this time, so I'm going to have to work on how to disguise that. So I may actually even use another piece that goes all the way over there and just surround this corner, as long as I don't really see the edges, or maybe just use a small piece that goes tidies the corners up. I didn't really think of that when I was doing it until I sort of put them together, so I'm going to have to sort of work on that a little bit. So, but that's where I am at the moment. I'm going to carry on, and then we'll come back and we should see some better results. Alright, I've just taken the wooden backdrops, the MDF backdrops off, ready to fit the actual printed backdrops. I've also built these new steps, and these are going to be some like steps. So any people, so I'm going to have a pavement that comes along on here. So if anybody was walking along there, they would have to walk along, go up the steps and then walk along the bridge. You wouldn't be able to access the rest of the harbour. And that's the idea. So I'm just going to get all these fitted in place. So I need to sort of extend the wall a little bit to here and to there. And I think that's in about the right place. I've just been working on the stanchions for the harbour, so I'm going to fit those in. I'm also going to put some steps along the harbour wall here as well, just to give it a bit more, detail. So that's sort of the next jobs. Right, as you can see, I've now finished the harbour wall. I've added these steps and some fine railings. I've got some more railings to put along the front here, stop anybody just falling in. Obviously I've just taken all this front off at the moment because I'm just waiting for the lights, and I'm going to put some street lighting on here, and I can't feed the wires through if I fill it all that in, so street lighting will be put in, then I can finish this off, and then I'll get the backdrops fitted, and then we should be almost ready on this piece. So as you can see, the harbour steps there, and then I've sort of used the same textured papers just to sort of blend it in, to give it an impression that that steps down into the sea. Obviously I've got to be quite careful when I come to move around this, because I don't want to just knock that and break it all off. So I perhaps should have had a small piece, and made sort of the resin all the way around the model, but I haven't. So lessons learned. Perhaps we'll do that in the future, but it still looks quite good. Right, my lampposts have now turned up, so I'm going to be using these Victorian type ones. They was commonly used still in the sort of 40s and 50s in Britain. So I'm going to sort of base it on on that era to a degree, you know, so it could be any era, and even some of these were still used even in the sort of 60s and 70s, especially on bridges. You know, you used to see them quite often, you know. These are actually slightly smaller scale. These are in between N gauge and double O gauge. Double O gauge ones I tend to find just overscaled. N gauge ones I have used on double O, and I do tend to find that they look okay. This was scale 1 to 100, so it's just really TT scale. So I thought these probably be better. I'm not going to be using the possibly the piece at the bottom, because I think once you've actually put that on the pavement, it takes up all the pavement, and I think it will actually be better without that. So it will just have a small hole, and I think that will be sufficient. So I'm going to be putting possibly either one this side the bridge or that side the bridge, and then one this side. So I'm going to get these in now. I think it's going to be a 2mm hole. I'm going to need to just put a bit of reinforcing card underneath a couple of the pieces, so it gives it a little bit more something a bit more solid for it to sit on. And I just need to double check, do these obviously sit on the outside or the inside? I'm pretty sure these are going to sit on the inside of the pavement, so you'd actually walk by them rather than walk around them. So, but I just need to 100% double check on that. You know, how these was actually fitted, these Victorian lampposts. So when we come back, I should have all those fitted, all the wires nicely fed through. Right, I've got all those glued in place, but as I'm waiting for all the glue to dry, I'm going to have a look at the back scenes. And for the back scene, I've actually using this ID backscenes, and this is a sort of this is Coast 247A. Let me show you the and what we have got is sort of this sort of look. And I was just thinking that would probably look quite good at the back, so you'd see like a bay, and the sea up the opposite side as well. So I'm going to apply this, and as before, I don't know if you remember, I tested this out on the back scene on the Cromford Wharf layout, and this was really good. It's didn't wrinkle the back scenes or anything like that, and you could move it slightly, play around with it, as long as you don't obviously go overboard. But that's really good. So I'm going to get these on. If you haven't seen putting a back scene on, have a look at the Cromford Wharf one, and that'll show you how I did that one, and I'm going to do this one identical. I've got all the backdrops all nice and fitted, and it's all gone all nice and smooth. I had a couple of marks that I got on the sky. I always seem to get a little bit on my hands, and I just happened to touch right in a place where it's going to be obvious, but it's not too bad. But everything's gone on. There's no wrinkles or anything in there. When you do apply this, you might get a couple of like wrinkles as it's drying, but it'll dry virtually wrinkle free. You know, sometimes you get a very slight one, but it's probably one of the best. When I was doing around the corner, I possibly could have cut it, but then it wouldn't have looked as smooth around there, but it's not quite as flush, so I perhaps should have done a little bit more sanding just on this corner there, but I'm happy with that. I've had a quick look, see what it looks like on the layout. And really I'm going to get these fitted next, so you can see what the really finished bridge and the finished backdrops look like. The bridge and the walkway is all complete, got all the backdrops on. Still a little bit of tidying up. Some of the corners aren't quite as I would like them, you know, on some of the card that I've cut. Not done the best job like I normally do, so to hide that I'm going to do a bit more weathering on it, just weather them in a little bit. But as you can see, the backdrop looks good. With a backdrop like this, especially with a coastal scene, it's important to get it level, so otherwise the water would just look like it's falling. Yeah. So, but yeah, quite happy so far. I've actually added an extra light just here because I just thought it would just be right for the walkway. So, but I haven't wired any of the lights yet. So all that is now dried. I've sprayed it a couple of times with some matte lacquer to protect it, and seems to look okay. Like I said, I'm still going to need a little bit more weathering, but hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a good evening or a good rest of the day, and take care.